Very well, thank you. It's a little bit warmer than it was this morning when I left to go to the studio for the breakfast show in the rain, I hasten to add. But here we are in the evening, and it's actually very warm.
Well, it's supposed to be 28 degrees in Swansea tomorrow, so I don't know. It's been 20 all day, isn't it?
Yes, it's been like proper chill, I think is the best description for it. But I suppose this is nothing compared to the last time we spoke for you.
Oh no, I was in the 38s, nearly 40s.
Ooh.
That's
And
my
you were
kind of
saying
warm.
this is the first time in a long time where you felt, oh my goodness, it feels like an actual gap has happened between these shows. And I think you being away is part of that equation.
Yeah, possibly. It just feels like I haven't seen you for ages, whereas usually it comes around really quickly.
Yeah, it does. It does. And then in the meantime, Tammy had the opportunity to talk with Hobbycraft, which we're going to hear later on. So there was that kind of dealings in the middle, and that feels like it was over a week ago. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's Thursday evening. I'm talking to Hayley again. And here we are.
Hey, so
Yeah.
exciting.
It is exciting, and I just mentioned Tammy there in conversation with Hobbycraft. Some of you may already be aware of this, but did you know that taking part in some creative activities and some creative hobbies is actually quite good for you?
I would imagine it would be. I do like I'm a writer and I would like to think I can draw. That's debatable, but I do always get a lot out of drawing and writing.
I, like you, music, drawing, writing. And one thing I want to add is I'm not very good at it, but a friend of mine shared a wonderful quote on his stories. I wonder if it's still there, because it was such a great reminder that we are creative beings. Indulge me whilst I try and find this once again, because I think if it can't live on Healthy Minds, Better Lives, where can it live? It's saying that. Who am I logged in as? Yeah, I'm logged in the right person. We're there. Live radio, see? Live radio. Pretty rubbish how baseline human activities like singing, dancing, and making art got turned into skills instead of being seen as behaviors. So now it's like the point of doing them is to get good at them and not this is a thing that humans do, the way birds sing and bees make hives. And I thought, gosh, in the lead up to Tammy's interview, I couldn't think of a better quote to be like, yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah, I agree. I, I think we children are really creative anyway, aren't they? And then by the time they've gone to school or by the time they've settled into school, creativity is knocked out a little bit in lieu of learning all the skills you have to learn in school. And I think that's happening a lot. I think they're taking away a lot of the creative subjects. But to see children allowed to be creative is amazing.
Yeah.
Giving them that, it's not a skill. It is something that I would say the majority of us enjoy it. One type, a type of painting or making stuff or sticking stuff together, flowers, whatever that creativity is. And
Yeah.
yet we don't encourage it.
Yeah. And then the closely related cousin sport. I'm not the world's best footballer, and I'm never going to be. And yet, last night, I found myself playing in a friendly football match for my village team against Milford. So I was Broadhaven taking on Milford Athletic. And you know what? I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Running around, kicking the ball, actually heading it a few times, which is a big plus for me. And just sprinting. Like, when as an adult do we get the opportunity to just sprint and like let your hair down? I'm never going to play in the World Cup. I'm never going to be the world's greatest, but I just do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah, how much time do you spend doing things that you enjoy? Now, I know your calendar is really full. So, and I know you enjoy your jobs, but
Yes.
how much time do you come away from working and doing those things that you thoroughly enjoy without any expectation, without any payment, just enjoy it?
Yeah. Well, this is why going down to the football last night was such a big deal for me. I was like, that's in my calendar and it's going to stay there because
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy it. Even if the result doesn't go my way, even if I don't necessarily play even up to my capabilities, there's the opportunity for me to just let off that steam, to use the muscles, to get running around, to be outdoors. And I'm so glad that I did it. And my calendar's full, and actually there's a bit of a nicer balance now between the jobs and between the let's make sure that I'm just doing something for the sake of it.
Do you know, about 2 weeks ago, I went to a networking meeting and they switched it up a bit as they do. And they said, right, you give us your 30-second pitch and then tell us what your hobbies are. I was like, I stood up and I said my stuff and I said, I am 24 years into parenting and only now am I getting an opportunity to figure out what my hobbies are. And that was the truth. And I've got 2 that I really would like to do. One of them is sailing and one of them is working with wood. So those are my kind of 2 that I would like to get involved in. I think things are a bit hectic now, but those are my plans.
I love that. Was that first one sailing? Did I hear that correctly?
Sailing, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Toby's been down in Nayland this evening because Freya Terry, she circumnavigated the British Isles on her pink boat, and she's been doing mental health talks at her different stop-offs around the UK. Like, talk about fortuitous timing right there for Healthy Minds, Better Lives.
Absolutely.
I love that. We're already getting a few hearts and likes and loves. Marty Jones from The Rock Show, he's given us a like. Helen Marie's tuned in with us. Ben Hall is over on Instagram, and I need to reply to Ben because he's doing wonderful things for himself and for others, and he's actually got a bit of a concert coming up. So Ben, I haven't forgotten. He's been raising funds for charity, so we'll find out more about that nearer the time when I get more information from Ben. He's been on The Breakfast Show once before. But right now, this show, we're going to look at hobbies in more detail with Tammy and with Hobbycraft. We're going to look at A-levels. It's results day today, and we're going to look at how much they define you, and is it the BN, is it the end of the world if you don't get what you get, or is it just the beginning of a different route? And is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? That's what we're going to discuss in a bit more detail. But before all of that, we are going to be looking at letting go.
It's a nice lead into the A-levels, I think. Yeah, today I on one of my long drives, like on Thursday last week, it was an 11-hour round trip to go for 3 hours football. But I started to think about the different people in my life who hold on to things, but not just things, but emotions as well. So I just thought it'd be a really good topic for us to talk about. How are the different ways we let go? Can we let go? And if we can't let go, why do we hold on to things?
This is so interesting. The first thing that came to my mind when you said it was, for me, the types of personalities, because I don't want to pickpocket anyone out, and I don't want to belittle anyone's thoughts and their feelings around why they may be doing something. But the first thing I thought, or the most obvious in my mind, was people that have grudges.
Oh, that's a big one. That is.
I know.
To start with.
I'm like, it's huge. It's absolutely massive, but it was where my brain went. But if we want to come to that, if you want to go through the baby steps until we get to those grudges, Hayley, you lead us down that pathway.
Oh, I could go there. I like the grudges bit because I think the grudges bit may well form part of the emotional side and the material things. I've had to really, really, really practice letting go of grudges. I was the one holding that flipping. Have you seen the meme with the barbed wire in the hand? That was me.
Yeah. Oh,
that
really?
Was me. Oh, yeah. I could hold a grudge for Wales. But at some point, I suppose during my work and during getting rid of depression and everything else, at some point I realised that the energy it was taking to hold on to a grudge was only hurting me and it wasn't serving me in any way. But that doesn't mean I don't hold on to stuff.
Because to me, I suppose the grudges, they kind of start because there's usually some sense of I've been wronged. Therefore, like you're allowed to have your personalities. You're allowed to not like and like certain things, and you're allowed to be whatever. But then there's a difference between indifference towards a topic and the difference between actively remembering that there's a problem that you have, therefore you need to hold on to that barbed wire, going back to your analogy. And I think I've given this example before, to do with it's an act thing, to do with things you're trying to avoid, and you're holding them up there and you can't see anything, and then you're using energy then to retain this grudge. And it's like, well, could that energy not be better spent elsewhere? Like, what is this grudge actually serving? So that when you first touted that, I was like, oh yeah, what kind of energy are you using there?
And I think it's really important, I think, and my friend pointed this out on Facebook. She put a post on Facebook this week about people being there for you and expectations. And the expectation thing is a really big thing, because I think I had to reverse engineer my grudges and look at, how did I get to the point where I was disappointed or angry or frustrated and holding that grudge? Generally, it was because I had an expectation of people. They let me down based on my expectations, not theirs. And then it was a bit silly then, because actually maybe they didn't know that that was the expectation, and most didn't. And maybe the expectation was irrational or unachievable or whatever the expectation was. So learning to measure my expectations played a massive part in letting go of holding a grudge.
Which is interesting, because you think your expectations, they're there to make sure that you're accountable to your high standard, like, or to your high standard, to a standard that you think other people should live by. Is that a better way of saying it? And I suppose that's, but we are different, and we have different priority levels depending on who we are and who we're with, and but expectation can be the real dampener on growth and on prosperity and on relationships.
Well, if you think about it, right, you and I are quite, we push ourselves a lot. I was going to say hard workers. I don't mean that anybody else isn't, but we push ourselves a lot in terms of putting how much we can get into a calendar, into a day, into a month, into a week. Not always in our favor either. But can you imagine if, as leaders, we expected everybody to do the same? And not everybody is the same personality. What kind of problems would that cause in the workplace or in private relationships? It would cause massive strain.
Yeah, and then that strain then almost forms part of the reason why you're unhappy in the first place. And it's like, well, actually, you're not what I thought, and now I'm stressing about that you're not what I thought, because everyone should be the same, and now I'm just stressed.
But we're not, do we? And that's the thing, isn't it? So we're not the same. We hold the grudges, it only hurts ourselves. We have these high expectations, or we have expectations. We don't tell people what they are, and yet we expect them to do what we want them to do in our head.
Read my mind. Go on, figure it out, sort it out. It's so much easier. But no, it's true though, isn't it? And that expectation, how readily and how easy have you found communicating your expectations then, Hayley?
The best thing I did was take away any expectations. So my answer to the post, my friend's post, was about sort of expectations and the impact on friendships and things like that. And I realized that I've dropped expectations, and where I have no expectation, it's not that I don't want anything from people, but if I don't expect and I don't get, then I don't get feeling rejected, or I don't get upset. So it's not that I have no value in my friendships now. It is what it is. Whatever happens in that friendship happens, not because I want it to happen, but because that's the natural progression of it. And it's a very different feeling. So there's nothing to let go, really. But if I catch myself, and I have, and I do, if I catch myself placing expectation, very, very quickly, there's disappointment.
Arguably, having no expectation, particularly in that group, is actually quite golden, because it's not always about how can we or you or us or them achieve something. So all of a sudden now the relationship exists because it exists, as opposed to for an end.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people who will say, "Oh, my friends don't contact me first," or I'm the one always reaching out. We don't go out anywhere. They don't make arrangements. I make arrangements. And I think you have to decide who you are in that friendship. So I'm the one who has connected our friendship group. So I'm the kind of the central person. I don't make arrangements. The others make the arrangements. We kind of do the arrangements together, and they go and book it and stuff. I'm the one that reaches out all the time first. And what I've done is, that's fine by me, because that is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't always reach out. It's not a weekly thing. It's not a daily thing. But when I've got that sort of time out of the busy schedule, I'll just pop a text and say, "How is everybody?"
Yeah.
Now, I don't see anybody else doing that, and that's fine. I don't have any grudges. I don't have any expectations, and that's good. And I think that place of being is good with me. Is a lovely place to be, because you do not have the frustration that you have when you expect things.
Yeah. If you're just joining us now, it's Healthy Minds, Better Lives. It's myself, Tom, from The Breakfast Show of Folly Farm, and Hayley T. Wheeler. We're talking about letting go, and we jumped straight in with the big guns, talking about grudges. And maybe what we've been talking about, expectation management and relationships, has struck a chord with you. We'd love to have your thoughts. You can call or WhatsApp on 01437 764455. You can use the PWR app, or you can email us direct to let us know your thoughts on letting go, as we're talking about first. We're going to be talking about A-level results, because we were out and about in Haverfordwest High earlier on as they were picking up their results. And Tammy, earlier on this week, was in conversation with Hobbycraft, talking about doing things for things' sake, and they're moving towards a mindful Monday. But the theme for this opening section, before we go into do our A-levels define us, is looking at letting go. And if you are someone who's holding on to a grudge and it's no longer serving its purpose anymore, and it's just making you feel potentially a bit bitter, it might be dragging you down into a bit of a valley, into a bit of a wedge, so now you feel like you can't communicate. If you're someone that finds yourself in that situation, let us give us how you're feeling. You can remain anonymous. We don't need the details. But if we're looking at letting go, and we're looking at how we can move away from these feelings, because you might know you're holding on to that grudge, and you might know that it's not how you feel anymore, but historically you're stuck in that mode, then let us know your thoughts on what you're stuck with, and we can see how we can support you. But also, letting go doesn't just take the form of grudges. We had a cold day, relatively speaking, before another heat wave here. That this weather is going to end at some point. We're going to move into autumn and winter. How do we let go of the shorts and the t-shirts and the vibe like that? And also, there's been they're talking to Reverend Sophie and Father Neil. Of course, there's also grief, which kind of falls into that category as well, Hayley. So there's lots of different things that we need to let go of, including people and things. And our busy calendar, can we let go of something that we don't have to do to allow time for more football, for more sailing, for more hobbies and crafts? But what are your thoughts then, Hayley, on seasonal changes and on these other things I just mentioned about people and creating space?
Do you know, I was just, as you were talking, I was just thinking of, why do we hold on to things? What is it about the things, whatever it is, whether it's a grudge, a person, an emotion, grieving, a belief, a thought process? Why do we hold on to them? And I just think they become a comfort zone, don't they? It feels predictable, it feels familiar. And I think we just like to stay in the predictable and the familiar. And I think with the seasons, it's quite tough if you are a summer person and you don't like going into winter. That can be quite tough. But we know it's coming. So what kind of prep are you doing to give it up? So I'm going to give you an example. I've got a couple of family members who very much are hoarders. And they hold on to anything. I've got one who will go out of their way and buy anything, even if we don't want it anymore. They will come and buy it off us. That frustrates the life out of me. And then this other one will not let anything go, even though they don't want it, and then all of a sudden they will let anything and everything go. So there's a cycle that happens.
Oh, so that builds up and then just gets rid.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So we can laugh and joke about it, but there is a bit of a serious side to one of them in particular, because at some point, and they're an elderly relative, when they go, I'm gonna have to clean all their stuff away. And I see what they're buying, and I say that with him laughing and joking, but that's the reality. It'll become my hoarding stuff, or my stuff to hold to kind of get rid of. So I sit somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I will hold on to some stuff, and then I will take quite a while to get rid of it. But what then makes us get rid of it? We said earlier about grudges, didn't we? Excuse me, that I learned that my expectations were the reason I held grudges. Therefore, I was able to get rid of holding a grudge. It wasn't serving me. But how much of your stuff is serving you?
Mm. And if we're looking around, yeah, how is it saving you? Like, I'm quite nostalgic, and there's things that I've collected over the years that have like imprinted on me. So like my first ever principal role, I might have the prop that I used that was like the main identifying feature. Why? Like, it's over 10 years old. But there's things in memory bags, I call them. And up until earlier on today, I didn't have a loft to put them in. I now have loft boards down. Big shout out to Mark for sorting that out. So now those bags can go from in the floor on the way in the little study room to out of the way, out of sight in the loft, to maybe be looked at once a year when I bring the Christmas decorations up and down. But there's a part I can't. It's like, no, because they were really formative memories of when I did something, and it's proof. It's proof I did something.
But you know what I keep thinking? Right? If I had a house fire and it all went, it wouldn't really matter, because it would all be in my heart and in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But then I do see photos. So this is I suppose this is part of letting go. But I do see photos sometimes, and I think, oh wow, I'd forgotten we'd done that.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of there needs a reminder for the memories. But there's got to be a balance somewhere, isn't there? Whether it's emotions, whether it's, there's a balance of holding on to some emotions because they're good emotions, but equally, it's not a bad idea sometimes to remember that we're angry with somebody so that they don't hurt us again. So there's a big balance here to be had.
Yes. One thing that's hilarious with most smartphones now is I've got a smartphone with a lot of memory. So all of my pictures since pretty much my second or third smartphone, they're all on there. Now we're going back probably over 10 years. In fact, I wonder if I was to do this now, if I was to go press that button, was it not that one? I bet that I could probably find the first photo that this phone has saved. And it's probably from a really long time ago. Now, of course, life happens. And what then happens is phones these days come up with these little memory things. The oldest picture on my phone is from January 2014.
Wow.
A lot of life has happened in that time.
Yeah.
And so my phone every now and then will say, do you remember this happy memory? And it's like me in my car, like leaving a really distressing situation, It's like, yes, I remember it. It's etched on my brain. And it's kind of like, well, how helpful if it's a lovely family holiday and the photo you find on the bag is there, and it's like, oh, I remember that. Oh, do you remember that we did? And all of a sudden these memories come flying back. But if it's something that's quite like traumatic and heartbreaking, and then you find it again, it's like, oh, yes, I remember who I was then, and I didn't like myself then, and this is proof that I was definitely that person.
Oh, that's not good, is it? But again, there's a balance, isn't there? Okay, so the question would be, if you had nothing at all, would it impact your life? So if you had no belongings as such, how much of an impact would it have?
Well, as much as I still have my 2 memory bags, I've moved a house lots and lots, and I hate moving house with an absolute passion. So over the years, I've become quite solid with these pieces of memorabilia and with these things that I don't need. And you know what? I've throwing things away and be like, I don't need to transfer you from this chapter of my life to my new chapter of my life. And you know what? Shedding that and using a house move as a massive example of I can leave you here and be quite content with that decision because
Yeah.
the memory's there. All it needs is a trigger, and the memory's there. So making that active decision of I'm not bringing you because you're part of this chapter. You won't like you'll be forgotten as the years go by, but it won't take much for you to come back to the surface. I'm quite happy to keep you here as I move on, and I've found a lot of strength and comfort in that actually. That moving house and changing jobs, for example, all of these things are really good opportunities to say, what, who do I want to be in this next chapter, and who do I want to bring with me? And I found that really cathartic and really helpful in shedding some of those well, letting go, as the chapter of this as the chapter of this conversation has.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's that's holding space. You were saying earlier about creating that space. You never know what's waiting to come in or being held off from coming into your life when you're holding on to those things. Whether
Mhm.
again, it doesn't matter what it is, does it? It doesn't matter whether it's clothes, whether it's an old job. You know, you might be hanging on for dear life to a job that you don't particularly like, just because it seems like it's the only job. When actually, I'm not saying you should leave your job and without any sort of stability at all, but maybe there's something else out there waiting for you. And until you start looking and at least make it a possibility that you're looking for a new job, maybe you'll never find that job that's the one for you. Same with people. There's such a theme with holding on and letting go. And it's all emotion based. Even though we hold on to emotions, most of the holding on is emotion based. As you've just talked about, memories, happy memories, bad memories, they
Yeah.
tend to come with emotions, don't they?
Yeah. And then that, yeah, it's that nostalgia. It's that almost that well, nostalgia if it's something warm and wonderful, and that melancholy if it's something like, oh, that happened. So what's your as we round this little bit up then, just trying to look back. So it's summer, people, things, creating space, and that's what you're just talking about there. The last portion of this was kind of changing habits and finding purpose. So we're letting go of things that don't serve us anymore, and we're going to try and move forward. What are your hints and tips for those people that are listening and watching this back, thinking, well, that's all well and good, but what am I going to do with this?
So I suppose it's deciding what is overcrowding your life. So you start with that, and it can be anything. You know, people tend to think about things, but it could be people. Is there somebody that isn't supposed to be in your life? Is it an emotion that you keep repeating? Is it a relationship that or a friendship that isn't serving you, but you seem to be serving them? So identifying what it is that doesn't need to be in your life, that isn't serving you any longer. Then I would say it's setting a goal. So what is it? Why do you want to leave that goal? What is it that's drawing you to the future? Is it that that person is not very nice and they keep other friends away? Is it that within that relationship you've lost yourself? Is it with all your clothes that actually they don't fit? You're just waiting for them to get back into them. It could be either way. You could be losing weight, you could be putting weight on. It's figuring out what that goal is. So who do you want to be? And are they the things that are going to serve you in that position? Then there's the gratitude piece, being grateful
Mhm.
for it. You know, yes, it's great to have loads of clothes, or it's great to have people in your life. And seeing when you start to use gratitude, you start to see things better. And it may well be that that friendship isn't as bad as you think, but you've put those expectations on them. So being realistic with yourself is another step. You know, have you got 3 pairs of jeans that you wear out of 20. Do you really need the other 17? Probably not. And then it's the taking action, isn't it? It's that piece of actually doing, actually letting it go. And emotions, I think, are often harder to kind of, because we're not a society that encourages emotions. It can be quite hard to get rid of emotions, but definitely letting go of those emotions. So allowing yourself to feel yourself to feel the nostalgia of whatever the item is, allowing yourself to remember that even though that friendship doesn't feel good now, there was a point in time where it might have felt good. So allowing yourself to feel all those things and the negative things and releasing those emotions. Same with the clothes, same with the items of things, stuff, you know. And then deciding what's next for you. What's your first step towards the goal?
I love that. And you've kind of really well summarized that those house moves and when I used them as opportunities for shedding, they weren't emotionless. There was
No.
very much I'm taking a moment with this thing that I've carried with me in this chapter of my life. And it's almost like it's not necessarily thanking for the memory, but it's like you've played a part in my life. Like I'm grateful for who I am, and the good and the bad make us who we are. And it's what
Yes.
we do with that. And it's almost giving that moment. It's almost it feels like I think that the Maoris do a lot of that. There's that connection to something. It was like, I appreciate, there's gratitude for what you've taught me, and I'm going to take that learning with me, not you.
Yeah.
And there is something. Trust me, it takes a long time to get through everything when you're doing that with everything that you're leaving behind. But it does mean that you can leave it behind with that sense of closure, which my personality needs.
Yes, I think closure is important, isn't it? So particularly with people, because we're told when I don't know that we're told, particularly family, I suppose, we're told that we should try and stick out friendships, or we should try and stick out relationships. But actually, if it's not serving us, even a family member, if it's not serving us, we have to decide what to do
Hmm.
about it. And I suppose that the pressure here is the actual taking action and letting it go, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where the pressure point comes. It's not necessarily decide. You know what you need to let go of. It's
Hmm.
the actual taking that step to let it go.
And that is the button, isn't it? That is the thing. Is even if we know, how do we actually take the action to cross that line, particularly if it's something that may cause upset, that may cause an adverse reaction. And if you've thought of all the different outcomes that could be, you might weigh it up and make an assessment in your head, which of course is also completely made up. The outcome might actually be, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that you've brought this up. And there could well be an outpouring of relief from all sides.
Yeah, it's that honesty, isn't it? So I think for myself, my life has been changing for some time. Obviously, my children range from 24 to 16. So I've known for a number of years that they are going to be moving on, they're going to be doing different things, and I'm going to lose that status that I've had. Not necessarily, obviously, as a mum, but how much time they need me and how much time I need to give to them. So I've been preparing for that. So even if, excuse me, even if it takes you time to prepare, those steps of working towards letting things go, it's important you give yourself that time. So I'm going to be mum always, but a different version. And I for a while I was lost. I didn't know who I was going to be or what I was going to do, and I still don't know what I'm going to do, because this summer has proven that older kids do not necessarily mean less time. Let me tell you. Um, But our life is going to change in lots of different ways for lots of different reasons. And giving up that old version of ourselves, if you know it's coming, maybe take the time to think about what can I do to be that person when I get there.
I like that. And we can start planning for that now to a certain extent. Who do you want to be when you grow up? There is no upper or lower age when that question is asked, because we all go through these chapters all of the time. We're going to take a moment and we're going to look at a chapter that hundreds of thousands of 18-year-olds have gone through this morning. The rite of passage for those that have gone on to A levels. They picked up their results this morning, and I was in Haverfordwest High along with Sapphire, who picked up her results. And then I had her chatting with the First Minister for Wales, Lynyd Morgan. She wants to go and do a journalism apprenticeship. So I was like, come on then, let's interview one of the most influential people in this country. So start them off on the right foot, I say, Hayley. When we come back, we're going to look at that. We've got a series of interviews that were conducted from some of the pupils that are picking up their results, who are extremely happy. They're going to their first choice, their first choice colleges. Haverfordwest High boasting 5 pupils heading off to Oxbridge and Cambridge universities, which is an incredible achievement for them. We don't have interviews with these, you expect privacy, but there were some in that moment that didn't get what they wanted. I didn't get my first choice university. I think I've turned out all right. And we also have a chat with TJ Stables later on, who is from Careers Wales, who supports children and young adults and older adults looking at their career progression, looking at training and how they can help benefit the individuals. So when we come back, the question that we're posing I'm going to ask Hayley now, so you should give us like a one-liner before we come back. And I don't want to belittle anyone's results at the moment, but I'm going to ask the question, Hayley, A levels, make or break?
Neither.
We'll be back after Harry Styles and As It Was, which I think kind of loosely links to letting go, the same as it was, but we have the power to change that. It's coming up to 10 to 10, 10 to 10 to 10, 10, 10, also for Mark. Thanks again for the Loftboards. We'll be back talking about A levels and results and what does it actually mean and what does it mean for you as a person and with the whole life ahead of you. Don't go anywhere. It's Healthy Minds, Better Lives on Pure West Radio.